Hey guys, so it's Alora. So I'm here back with another beautiful video on this beautiful rainy day. But today guys, I want to get into something a little bit deeper, and that is the bonds between parents and the toxic behavior between parents and children. And when is it time to cut loose? And are we even going to recognize that some parents are mentally and physically abused by children? So I want to get into the first topic, and that's when is it time to leave the nest? Okay, so being a parent of 3 grown children, who I'm ready, definitely ready for them to leave the nest, but doesn't it doesn't seem like they're ready yet. So this is the issue that I believe a lot of parents are facing, and a lot of people don't like to speak on it, and then a lot of people like to just put it on the parents, and it is disrespectful children. So I think a lot of parents get physically and mentally fatigued when you have children in your home who live rent-free because you're trying to help them, who don't have chores to do because, let's be honest, it's hard to get them to do it. And for people who have issues with their children just being very disrespectful. We all know that once our children hit 18, in the eyes of the law, they are grown. But mentally, we know that they're not mentally stable enough to move out on their own, and they're not mentally mature to understand the things that goes on with life. So as parents, we try to educate them, and sometimes it gets through to one child and it gets through to another, but it just may skip the other child. And that's a problem that a lot of parents face, but we don't know how to tackle it. Sometimes you sign up for counseling and you do the work, but then counseling doesn't help. So what do you do when you try to counseling? You then put in the work, and you know you're not a horrible parent, but you have rules and standards. The problem with today's society is we want to govern everyone's kids, and we want to govern everyone's household, and we can't do that. And so from my standpoint, the government has tried to govern the way you raise your family. So now I believe you have a bunch of children who know they can use so many things against you as a parent to kind of strong arm you into doing the things that they want you to do. And I think that is very nasty, it's cruel, and it's diabolical. So I have a friend who has a child who's living with her, 3 children to be exact, and they're all grown. So she has one child who pretty much does what she asks, does what her husband asks, and he's not really an issue. But then she has the other 2 children who pretty much don't listen at all, do what they want to do. So pretty much she laid down the law, and she said, okay, you're 21 and you're still staying in my home. I'm allowing you to stay here. She was asking the son, the 21-year-old, for rent. She told him, I want $150 a month for rent. He thought that was ridiculous. He thought it was too steep. And so for me, when she brought this situation to me, I was like, $150 in rent is nothing compared to the prices we paid for rent back in the day. And mind you, when I lived with my mother, as an adult, I dropped like $300 on rent. And back then, $300 was a lot, okay? And I used to get EBT. And I used to give her all my EBT in the house because, why? My kids were there. You know, I had 2 children at the time. So it was like, why not just give her everything that's in the house? I eat there anyway, so, you know, I told her, Mommy, I just want to keep $50 for me so I can get something that I want. And I think I was getting like $400 in food stamps. So me staying there, my kids staying there, it was only right to give her all of that in the home. Because Mom, take the card, go shopping, or I would take the card, or we'd go together. Usually we went together. But let me get back on track with the story. So she asked her son to give her $150 in rent because her and her husband had like 5 other kids who were younger. So her other kids are grown. So with the other kids and the bills, the older kids running up the light bills, running up the water bills, and she started to see a fluctuation in the bills. So she started giving everyone shower times. So she would tell them they could shower from this point to this point. and 15-minute showers, limited to 15-minute showers, because there's a lot of people living in the house, and water is high. Okay, it is high. Also, electricity. So they have all their devices plugged up, leaving lights on everywhere. And mind you, her and her little kids are normally not home. So she was coming home to her lights being on, people being in the shower longer than they're supposed to be, in the shower for like an hour. So she told him, like, listen, this is causing my utilities bills to rise. Her electric bill was like $1,000. Her water bill was like $450. And I believe her gas bill was around $400 too. And so she's just saying, listen, we don't get EBT. That's what she told them. We don't get EBT. We don't get no type of, assistance from the state. We are paying all of this out of pocket. We don't get utility assistance. I need for you guys to start helping out. So she asked each child for $150 a month. And I believe it was $150 a month. I'm 100% sure. And so the child was like, why would I give you $150 a month? I'm trying to move out. But you're not moving out right now. That's what I told her. He's not moving out right now. So why is he talking about he can't give you $150 a month? And here he goes. He goes on tangents, cussing her out, getting smart with her husband. And I'm just like, oh my goodness, I don't know what to do, because this is a stressful situation. And this is one of the situations where people always be like, no, you can't kick your kids out at 18. They're not quite ready. But it's just like, when do you put your foot down in your own home and tell that child, you cannot disrespect me? And then they're eating all of her food. She has no food in the house for her little kids. So she has a child in there that's a really picky eater. So she buys certain things from him. She buys certain things for everybody. But everything that she buys is gone, like in a matter of days. So she stockpiling. Like, she stopped going, I think it's called Sam's Club. She stopped going to Sam's Club and bundling. She's like, you know what? Because if I put it in here, I'm wasting money, because no one else gets to eat. No one else really gets to eat, because everything is basically gone. And then it got to the point where the children were, not the little kids, the older kids were leaving food out. They would take food out, not tell her that they took food out, and leave it out, and it's spoilage. So then she goes down here and she's trying to figure out, where's my groceries? Oh, we forgot the chicken out. Oh, we forgot the ground beef out. Just left it out. And I told her, I said, it's because they have no responsibility. They don't have to pay any bills. They don't have to put food in the house, so they're not appreciative. And then they go off on tangents on her. You're the most disrespectful person ever. You're not a good mom, and this and this and that. And I told her, I said, that's a form of manipulation to get their way. Children do that. And so now parents are facing this, do I kick my child out, or do I get backlash for kicking this child out who isn't helpful in the house, who doesn't do chores, who fight with their younger siblings, who just do not try to get right? And so now she's at a point where she's ready for that child to go. So she gave the child an ultimatum. Well, not really ultimatum, but she gave him a deadline. So in about last September 2023, she told him by the time July came of 2024, that he needed to have a place. And she has not been charging him any rent, because he said $150 was too much. Mind you, he was bringing home $1,200 paychecks every 2 weeks. Or not every 2 weeks, but $1,200 paychecks here and there, but then $900 paychecks every 2 weeks. And kicking it. So the child was just going and kicking it, paying for his habit, not helping his mother and his father at all. Didn't help with the household chores, using their stuff like dishwashing liquid, laundry detergent, just using everything that the family had accumulated for the family. So I told her, I said, it's not okay for your child to take but not give. So if we're a collective and we're living in a household, everyone should invest in the household. But this child was taken away from the family. And as many conversations as she had with him, he just was not listening. He just wanted to go off on, well, you don't understand me, and this and this and that. And it was just like, the mom was just like, but I'm telling you, This is why we're fighting. This is why we're having issues. You're not listening. You're going off kicking it with your money, and then you come here and then you use the resources and you absorb the resources, but you don't put back into the resources. So she was having a real issue with that. Child still not getting it. So I said, I don't know. I can't really give too much advice on that because that's your child. But when she posted on social media that she was fed up and she wanted her grown children to move out, she was attacked. This is the problem with our society. We want to kick our kids out at 18. Mind you, the child is 21. The other child's 19. And the other child is 17, but not grown. Well, basically grown here in North Carolina. That's basically grown. State's law. But they're not contributing, not going to school, not doing what they're supposed to do. And she's like, okay, I'm driving them to school. I'm picking up them from school. They're not doing what they're supposed to be doing. What are you doing at school? You're not graduating on time. So she gave them some incentives. Okay, if you graduate high school, go ahead and get the diploma. The car that your dad and I have paid off, that's your car. A low mileage car, a good car. It's a Ford. So she says, this will be your car. Hoping that will motivate these children. Did not. She said it would be a shared car because financially right now, we don't have the money to buy a car for each one of you guys. But if y'all want to, until y'all can save up for a car of your own, each one of you guys can have a set date and time and use the car. Fair. I think that is so fair. Because a lot of people don't understand, or a lot of young children, that's setting them up for success. She's giving them transportation, so now they don't have to worry about catching a bus. They don't have to worry about Uber, and they don't have to worry about all these things. She's trying to take the load off while still trying to parent. But yet, the kids don't get it. And then people are like, she's a bad mom because she wants her kids out. But people don't understand what I see. I see a woman who is afraid of her children, who is afraid to speak up because she's scared of controversy. I see a woman who is stressed to oblivion because she doesn't know how to handle her adult kids. And now she's always kind of been a passive type of person where aggression and physical harm wasn't something that she practiced with her children. So now she's having that issue where she's like, maybe I should have whooped my kids' butts. But I was trying to be the parent who did not whoop, but listened, who talked and spoke life into them. Was she perfect? No. Did she yell? Hell yeah. I yelled. My kids worked my nerves. Children would do that. But the thing is, now she has these younger kids, and she's like, this is taking the focus off the younger kids because of the stress that she has to do with the older kids. And now, mind you, they are still grown, but she's trying to stay behind them, go to school, do what you're supposed to be doing. She's literally holding their hand. And I'm telling her, you can't hold her hands no more. But the issue is, when you're a mother and you love your children, how do you let their hands go and to let them fall? And when does society mind their business and realize that all children are not created equal? And that all children in life are going to have some type of trauma, because we as people, we see things that we want for ourselves, and we feel like we want people to treat us a certain way. But we can't get treated a certain way as people, as kids, as moms, dads, and humans, period, if we don't give respect, if we don't try, if we don't put forth effort. If you're an irresponsible person, you're going to be treated irresponsibly. Your mom, dad, sister, cousin, auntie, they're not going to trust you with certain things because you have showed them a pattern of you're not responsible. And even when they step back and they give you leeway and you're still given the same patterns, they're not going to handle you the way that you want them to handle you. So sometimes if you want to be handled a certain way, then you have to be manageable. And what I mean by that is you have to work with the people who are around you. If your dad says, hey son, clean up the kitchen, I'm going to do the laundry room, or I'm going to do the front room, and your sister's going to do the bathroom, and such is going to do this room. That is manageable. That means we live in a house where in order for it to be cohesive, we all have to take a part, and we all have to hold accountability to ourselves and to keep the household going. But when one person says, I don't want to clean, I don't feel like I have to clean because I just come here and sleep. So don't come here and sleep. Because if you come here and sleep, you're absorbing my resources. You're using my lights, and then you go downstairs, you get water, you're using my utilities. When you go take a shower, you're using my utilities. When you don't have body wash and you're taking from my stash or your brother's stash or your uncle's stash or whoever's stash, that's not you being independent. So yes, now you have to help out. It's not about, oh, this is this tit for tat stuff, but it's, if you're living with anyone, whether it be your mother, father, cousin, auntie, and nieces and nephews, you should help out. And some people and children, and a lot of kids, because this goes for grown people too, they're entitled. They feel entitled, where they feel, I wasn't here, so I shouldn't have to do nothing. Don't come here. Don't sleep here. Don't be here. Go find you somewhere where you have to do absolutely nothing. Go find it. Because if you live in a mission, you still have to get up every morning and you have to do something. You have to go apply for a job. You have to go search for a job. You have tasks that you have to do. But people have this misconception that just because you're family, that you get to walk over family, especially moms and dads. And I'm here to be the voice for the moms and dads who are going through it with their children. I'm not talking about the abusive moms and dads and the dads and who aren't there. I'm talking about the parents who are present in their child's life. I'm talking about the parents who are giving their all. I'm talking about the parents who don't miss parent-teacher conferences. I'm talking about the kids who are there. The parents who are there for their kids' IEP meetings or just to know what's going on. I am talking about the parents who, when they see something is off with their children, they ask their child, hey, what's going on? They try to communicate with their child. And whether that child opens up or not, that's not on the parent. The parent has done their job. I'm going to try to talk to you. Now, as a parent, what we do is send you to your aunt or your uncle, or we sign you up for counseling. And those are the parents who try their hardest, but for some reason, their kids give them such pushback. You weren't perfect. You weren't rich enough. You didn't give me everything I wanted. You gave me love, and you gave me a roof over my head, but you didn't give me the Nikes and Jordans that I wanted, so I got teased. But the kids don't never see in the background the dad working 12 hours, the mom's working 12 hours to keep them in a house that's nice, that's safe, that's in a good neighborhood, that's in a good school district, so that they can have an education and have a better way of life, and most of all, so that they can survive. Most of all, so that they can survive. Parents are out here making the hard choices to save their kids' lives, and these children aren't mentally mature enough to get that this is what parents are doing. So they do this thing, they go off on social media and they make these tangent posts, they say these horrible things about their parents, and then you have people on the internet who don't know nothing about the daily living of their lives saying, yeah, I understand that because my mom and dad was this like this. You're saying your mom and dad abuse you, your mom and dad neglect you, but this is not that child's situation, and they know it's not their situation. But because they want sympathy and they need cool points and brownie points and they need to feel good about this negativity that they're putting into the world so that they can feel like they're right, they have to tear their parents down. And we're not going to act like we ain't got parents out there who do that to their kids, because we see it every day on the internet. We need to stop that BS. We need to stop that BS. But as humans, we can't be always in everybody else's business. You know, and that's why I was telling my girl, like, girl, keep everybody out your business. Keep everybody out your business. The internet don't need to know. Work this out. Figure this out. But at the same time, if these kids want to be disrespectful, baby, the average rent in Charlotte, North Carolina is about $1,500 for a 1-bedroom. Okay? And that's maybe you can find a 2-bedroom for $1,500. But is it going to be in a safe area? You really have to question and see. But even if you're looking for a 1-bedroom, that's $1,200. And you're not making $1,200 worth of money. So why can't you live in your parents' house and be respectful? You ain't got to be their slave. But I truly feel like if you're a grown child and your parents have little kids and your mom and dad say, listen, curfew is at 1 o'clock or 12 o'clock. Be in this house. If you're not in this house, I'm not letting you in. If it's 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm not letting you in. If you want to stay out until 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, you need to have your own place. And staying out until 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning should not be a priority to you if you don't have your own place. So I think that's what we need to teach kids. But I think we coddling these children and we're making them think that it's okay to mooch off mom and dad, not help, not put forth effort, not search after education, not save up so that they can have their own, but just blow their money and be selfish and don't put anything, no resources back into the home. I think that's a very dangerous narrative to put out here to these children. It's very dangerous and it's irresponsible, because you have to realize those same children have to enter into society one day, and then we have to deal with them. We're going to be the people that have to deal with them. And sometimes when they say it takes a community, we need a community to hold children and parents accountable, but I'm not saying go on here on the internet and bash. Sometimes people can actually reach out. I was going through something with my son. My son was stressing me out, and I had told people, he's 18, and I said, guys, I am ready to put him out. I don't know how to handle him. He's disrespectful, and I'm ready for him to go. Women jumped in my inbox so quick. Now, I had a few of them try to tear me down. I ain't paying no mind. I had so many women who posted messages of encouragement and therapy, and links to therapy and counseling. And I was so receptive of that. And then, just positive criticism. Like, positive criticism isn't criticism to tear down your parenthood. Positive criticism is said, how you took it from this approach. Have you did this? Have you tackled it this way? Have you approached it from this side? That's positive criticism to me. And it could be negative criticism too. But it's asking you, what have you done to address this? Have you put your all in? That's the type of stuff I respect. Because no one knows what anyone is going through behind closed doors with their children or with their families. Because to be honest, it's not just moms and dads who go through this with their children, like their teenage children. There's some moms and dads who go through this with their 34-year-old children. And it's just like, if you're 34-year-old and you're still living with your parents and you're complaining and you're not helping and you're going on the internet and you're bashing your parents, or you want to talk about the one thing that they traumatized you in life because you did something so horrible and they had to whip your behind. Oh, I remember when I almost set the house on fire because I was lighting fireworks in the house. And after my dad put the fire out in the front room, he bust me in the head. That type of, no. Honey, you deserve to be busted in the head, because why you in the house popping off fireworks? Some things we have to use our brains. And sometimes we have to realize we're not these kids' parents. I am learning this. I mean, not parents. We're not these kids' parents. We're not these kids' friends. Because, man, sometimes you feel like you're not their parents. Because sometimes when they treat you, you be like, how did I birth you? And how could you disrespect me on this level? I've given you my all. And then people just have to understand, like, being a mom, being a dad is not easy. Some people are out here being parents and they never had parents before. But they're thinking and they're going on basis. Let me tell you, because I'm going to talk about me personally, because I can really talk for everybody else. Me not really having a mom or a father, I didn't really get with my mom until I was 14. And I hate saying that because I have such a great relationship with her now, and I don't want to take away from that or make her feel discouraged. So that'd be hard for me to say, but my aunt and uncle raised me, until I was about 14. And then I went with her side of the family, and then her sister got custody of me. But this is the thing. Like, as a parent, I felt like the way I love my kids, the way I should love my kids, is by being there for them, by telling them that I love them, by reading them books at night, by teaching them, by disciplining them. But I also overcompensated too. I overcompensated because I felt like I lacked things from my mother and my father. So I always felt that emptiness that I was feeling, and I was over giving it to my kids because that wasn't an emptiness that they were having because they had their mom and their dad here. So I'm filling their cup, overfilling it. And then they're getting into a point of, I got my mama right where I want her. And then entitlement comes in. And then oh, I can do what I want to do, because what's she gonna do? My mama ain't gonna whoop me. My mama don't believe in whooping people, you know. And that was my issue. I didn't want to hit my children. I used to spank my kids, but then I thought, someone said this to me. Someone said, whooping your children resembles slavery, and that is something that we have to break. And this is when my kids were really little. And then ever since I heard that, I don't remember who said that. It was the lady online. Ever since she said that, it registered to me. It's like, dang, you beating your kids to tell them what they shouldn't do? That sounds wrong. It sounds like slavery. It sounds like what was done to us. And so I tried a different approach, and I tried gentle parenting. But I soon learned that you cannot gentle parent all kids, because I have a child who don't need gentle parenting. Lord have mercy. But it did give me a perspective. And so I had one child who was more trouble than, well, I had two children. Who were really giving me some heck. And I'm just like, oh my God. It was just so crazy. And it was difficult. It was really difficult. And I won't tell her story because I have to get permission for her to tell her story. So I'm not going to tell her story, but I'm going to talk to her about sharing that story. But yeah, and I just realized I can't parent all my children the same. And I was trying that. Once I realized, and mind you, I'm a young mom. I was a mom at 14 and 17. So I'm a young mom I'm a 17-year-old trying to figure out how to parent kids. Yeah, I'm trying to figure it out. But once I did figure out, I'm not gonna lie, I'm still figuring it out. But I did get the manual, and that's called Life. And I did learn from some of these mistakes that I made, and I did learn a lot along the way. One of the things that I learned was that you have to listen to your kids, and you have to hear them out. It's important to hear your children out. Do you have to necessarily agree with them? No, you do not. But it's important for them to be heard. It's important for children to feel like they have a place to voice their opinions. But also, what I realized that was a flaw for me was I really took my trauma and I used that trauma to parent my kids. And that wasn't the best way to go. It wasn't the best way to go. And unfortunately, I had to get counseling to understand that. I was ruining my children because I was scared as a child most of the time. And so what I did was I was too scared to make my children not feel scared, but I was too gentle with them sometimes, and I let them get away with things that I know I shouldn't have let them get away with. But because I was afraid of me, I was afraid because I was abused as a child. And I mean, I was abused really bad as a child. I was in first grade going through real life abuse, you know, from being thrown into a vanity in first grade and being swiped across that desk and causing cuts that I still have on my arms. This is from me being a child. This ain't from me being an adult fighting or anything. I have a lot of stuff. And I was parenting from that trauma, so I was scared to hit my children. And it wasn't just hit my children. I was scared to discipline my kids because I had learned that kids who are abuse their children. So I was so scared to be a mother to my kids because I was afraid I was going to be the monster that someone was to me. So yeah, that's my story, guys. But what I'm learning is toxicity goes both ways. It's not just for the mother and the father, but it's for the kids too. Kids can be toxic too, but there are some toxic parents out there. And let me address this because this sickens me because it's still going on. Publicly embarrassing your children is a hell no for me. I don't care what that child did. Discipline should be done in the home. We don't need to see you disciplining your kids because that's not for the kid and that's not for us. That is for you. That is for you to feel like you're doing right and you're disciplinary. And if you have to question the way that you're disciplining your kids and you feel like you have to come to the internet so you can do it online and you can get praise from them, then you need to think and dig deeper because that shit is going to mess with those kids forever. Trust me. Trust me, it is. And now I know not all parents are malice, but that is toxic. And if your child comes to you and tell you they felt that was wrong, and if you can't see that, you need to go and pray in the closet alone and open your eyes, because that is hurtful. Imagine if someone did that to you. You would be crushed. And the thing is, we are stronger as parents than our children are as kids, because they hold us to a higher standard because we are their parents. But don't give them the right to walk over us. But also, being a parent, it doesn't give you the right to walk over your children and mistreat them. I am not a perfect parent. I had some issues. But the thing is, I feel for me was when people addressed me, I was able to listen. And it's hard to realize that you're messing up as a parent. It is the hardest thing to hear, because you want to be perfect as a parent and you want to be a good parent. You want to be a good parent, but sometimes we're not good parents. But when we realize we're not being good parents, it's important for us to try to change and to try to fix the situation and to try not to cause trauma. But like I said earlier, children are going to have trauma no matter what. But we determine the type of trauma they're going to have. You try to protect them from the real dangers of when they go spend the night at somebody's house and you're not there. We can prevent that. I know it seems crazy, but no, I'm sorry. My child can't come spend the night over your house. Who's at your house? Oh, there's a man that lives in your home? Yeah, I have a daughter and a son. I don't think so. I'll spend the night too, though. They can sleep in the same room with me. Oh, you don't do adult sleepovers with kids? Okay, yeah, no, they can't come. Things like that. Or can I go to my cousin's house? Yeah. Which cousin? Because we're not going to act like trauma doesn't start in the family. It does. It did for me. It did for some of my cousins. And and you reflect, you're a reflection of that sometimes. So that's why counseling and help, that's why that stuff is so important. That's why it's so important. But it's also important to instill love in your children. Even though my mother was not present in my life, when I became a teenager, she still tried to instill love in me. And I never went to bed unless she was mad at me without her saying, I love you. And even when she would be mad at me, she would walk by my room, you hungry? Everybody know that's black mom code for I'm sorry. Get your butt out of here. I'm sorry I busted you in your head. And I wasn't the perfect child. I was not the perfect child. But now that I'm an adult, I realized that every lesson that my aunt, my uncle, and my mother was trying to teach me were lessons that I needed. But I was so naive and I was so immature that I thought they just hated me and I thought they wanted to ruin my life. And let me tell you, it's the lessons that they instilled in me when I was young that I'm instilling in my children now. And even though my children are going through the same phase I went through, because they said God will give you back yourself. When you have kids, God will give you back yourself. For real. And they ain't never lied. So you have to be careful. But at the end of the day, my mama did teach me some self-love. She taught me self-love, but she also did teach me some hard lessons that I needed to learn. She let me hit rock bottom. And baby, rock bottom for me was going into the rescue mission. I spent 3 days in a rescue mission. The thing was, I had money. I was having money, but I wanted to kick it with my money. I didn't want to be responsible and go get me a place. I wanted to kick it, even though I did have my first place. Me and my sister had our first place at 17. But after we had that place, we went back and stayed with our parents, and our first apartment over on Ravenwood. We had the best parties. I ain't even gonna lie. But once I got back there and I wasn't doing right. Yeah, I would give my mom money. But I was doing stuff I shouldn't have been doing, and my mama was trying to hold me accountable, and I didn't want to be held accountable because I thought she was wrong. But she was absolutely right. I was dating the wrong men, and she was so right, and I was not listening. And if it wasn't for all of that she instilled in me now, I wouldn't have the wonderful husband that I have now. So it's important for us to take those life lessons from our parents. And it's important to hear our kids. It's important to know that our kids do have feelings, but it's also important to let them know they have to fall on their face sometimes. If I done gave you the tools and I done loved you and I done rocked out with you and you don't want to listen, I have to stand back and let you fall. Because baby, when my mama let me fall and I had to go on that rescue mission and I had money, When I was in there I was in there for 3 days, but I spent only 2 days in there because the third night I spent the night at my brother's girlfriend's house. But I was in that rescue mission and I was watching, and my mom made me take my kids with me because I had 2 kids. My mom made me take my kids, okay? So it was real. So I'm walking through this mission and I had my 2 daughters on my hand. I'm walking into the mission and I got these bag full of clothes. I mean, brand new clothes. I had just went shopping. And I seen these women in there who had nothing. They didn't have nice shoes. They didn't have clothes. Some of them were battered. Some of them was displaced because of storms. Some of them just had no family. And here it is. I'm sitting in here worried about what outfit I was going to go out in so I can kick it. And who was going to babysit my kids. If my mother did not let me fall flat on my face, I would not be the woman that I am today. I wouldn't have seen the world for what it really was. When I was in that mission, I came across this woman and her 3 kids. And she was so nice to me. And she was coming here like, oh my goodness, this is the stuff you got for your kids? This stuff is so nice. And here I am. My kids are in there in Nikes, Nike outfit. Like my kids, they looking good. I'm looking good. My hair done up. My kids' hair done up. My kids got bags full of new clothes. And I'm just staying with my mama and blowing my money because I didn't want to be an adult. I didn't want to be responsible. But when I seen this woman and she's like telling me about what her kids have, and I'm looking at her because we had like drawers in our room, and I'm in her room and she's showing me this and she's telling me her story. I had to get my life together. The very next day, I called my cousin Bob. He's my older cousin. My cousin Bob was like 60 years old. He was one of those people who had your back in the family. And I said, can you please take me to Gary Crum? He says, what you gonna do there? I'm gonna put a deposit on this apartment. The apartment was $400 a month. I had $300. She said, come put the $300 on here, and when you get ready, come back in 30 days and put the rest of the deposit in the first month rent and you can move in. So I did that, and then I had told my mom, I was like, Mom, I'm ready to come back home. And she says, okay, come home. She let me come home. And when I came home and I moved the way I was supposed to, God ended up blessing me with it. I get to my mama's house, I got a check there. Like, it's a check, and it was like for $800. And I'm like, oh my goodness, where did this come from? Come find out, I had applied for welfare, and at the time I was working. So before I was working, I couldn't get it. So I had applied again. My cousin said, well, you couldn't get it because you had too much income, but you're not working. So go ahead and apply again. So I applied for it, right? And it gave me back pay. And I ain't know nothing about this, y'all. I'm 17, 18. Well, actually at this time I'm about 18 or 19. And so when that check came, I told my cousin, I said, Cousin Bob, come back. Come back, take me to the bank. I need to go cash this check and give them the rest of this money so I can get the keys for the house. I went back to the bank, cashed it. I went to the bank, cashed the check, went back to Gary Crum, gave them the remaining $100 for the deposit, and then gave them, the check was for like $800. I gave them the $400 for the rent. Bam, she says, okay, come back in 3 days and you can get your key. And I said, oh my goodness, oh my God. And then let me tell you how God works. And then a couple of weeks later, my auntie who raised me had called me because I was in a really bad car accident when I was younger. That's how I got this scar right here and some of the stuff on my chin. I went through a windshield. And so the way my aunt set it up, she set it up so that when we were 18, we would get our checks. I had an amazing aunt, and I took that for granted. My aunt Adrian Olds, was a wonderful aunt. And even though she made mistakes, and it was because she didn't know what to do with me because, boy, I was a lot. I appreciate her. I appreciate her because some people would have took that money and ran off, and they wouldn't have set it up for you like that. But my aunt did me and my brother right. And it didn't take for me until I got grown for me to realize how right she did me. A couple of weeks later, she calls me. She says, the lawyers have y'all checks. I'm going to come pick y'all up, sign the checks, and cash it. It's my first time opening a bank account. My aunt came and got me and my brother. We got our checks. We signed the paperwork. And then she took me to the bank. I think it was called National City Bank. That's what it was called, National City Bank. And she cashed the check. She helped me cash the check and open a bank account. And I was sitting in the car and I was like, oh my God. I said, Auntie, you need some money? And I'm sorry, guys. I try not to get emotional. I said, Auntie, you need some money? She said, no. She said, I don't want anything. I just wanted to see if you would offer. But I don't want anything. I got like a check for like $8,000. And that was the most money I had ever seen. I'm like 19. So I'm like, oh my goodness. So as soon as I cashed that check, bro, I went and got furniture for my apartment, got my kids' beds, got my first car. And then it was like my cousin was getting married, and so the timing that, like, all of this fell into place. So it was like the way my cousin, the timing, a lot of people in our family didn't have money like that for their dresses, but they wanted to look so good for my cousin's wedding. So I'm like, I got some money. I said, all right, y'all, let's go dress shopping. And I took my aunts and my mother and a couple of my cousins, and I paid for their dresses. Because God blessed me with that money. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to do this. This is what's up. You know? And it was all started from my mother letting me fall on my face, to me going to that mission and me seeing what I seen, and God humbling me in that moment, and me listening to God. Because I would never tell the blessing that I blessed them with, because I don't believe that you should do that. But he led me to bless them. And when I did it, I never thought anything of it. And then after I left, everything came in full circle for me. Everything came in full circle for me. That's why sometimes, guys, we have to be hard on these kids. Even though we don't want to, because we love them so much. And we're like, oh my goodness. But sometimes if you don't let them fall, you won't let them be open to God's grace and to God's blessing. And I'm thankful for my mom. I'm thankful for my aunt. I'm thankful for my uncle. And no, I had trauma. But in life, everyone's going to have some type of trauma, because not everyone knows how to parent. This is not something that you wake up with. This is not a one step fits all. It's just not. There's no manual. You do the best that you can do. And the people in my lives who were raising me were doing the best that they could do. Yes, did they make some mistakes? Yes, they did. Could I forgive them? Yes, I can. Yes, I have. Do I still hurt from some of this stuff? Yes, I do. But I love my family. And I'm thankful. And I'm thankful for my mama being hard on me. And my children, I pray to God one day they'll be making a video like this. I'm thankful for my mom loving me and being hard on me. Because, and I'm not talking about you got to make your child's life hard. You don't have to make your child's life hard. But you should make them work for something. They have to work. They have to work for some things. You can't just hand it to them all the time. Because when you always hand it to them, they'll never, if they lose it, they'll never know how to get it back. They'll never know how to get it back. And if we're gone and they done lost it and they can't figure out how to get it back, you're never going to be able to rest in peace. So it is smart to set up success, but teach your kids along the way that success that you're trying to teach them. I mean, that you're trying to give them, teach them that. Show them how to work hard for. You're going to give them business. Make sure they're in there every day doing inventory. Make sure they understand what it is like to count the tilly, to do inventory, to make sure they break even, to make sure they have the best customer service that they can have, to make sure they run their business with respect and morality. You know, it's important. But thank you guys for tuning in. I love you guys so much. I appreciate you guys. I just wanted to give you guys that little bit of tidbit information. No, my parenting style is not for everybody, and everybody's parenting style is not for me. But I just wanted to give everyone a little bit of information on how I'm doing with my children and give them some background on something my friend is going through and the advice that I was giving her. And I know that her children are going to turn around and be okay. And I know my children are going to turn around and be okay, because we're leading with love. When you lead with love with your children and not hate and not anger, then you are going to get the best outcome. And they're going to take you through a little bit of hell. Trust me. They're going to take you through some hell, but one day they're going to wake up and be appreciative of you, like I am of my aunt and my uncle and my mother, my grandmother, my father. I'm appreciative of all of it. My brothers are my second father, period. But I love all of you guys. Be well. And if you guys have not done so yet, please like, share, and subscribe to the Lauren Hour Network. I so love all of you guys. Be blessed.